interacting with them. So we're not, popping up on people's analytics side of things. And Facebook analytics is so much tougher than Twitter analytics.
Exactly. People, they expect you there. So then they don't go and find us on YouTube, which they should.
Absolutely, they should. Oh, man.
We're talking to you guys.
Yeah, we're talking to you. Well, actually, I haven't even shared it to the Facebook group yet.
I'm just cleaning up here. Just getting ready.
Yeah, we're getting ready. I pretty much forced her to go live.
Okay. I'm ready.
I forced her to go live because we were running behind. Huh? Because we were supposed to go live at 8 and then 8:10.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, but it's also not going to be
sugar tits waiting.
It's not going to be as long of a show. Everyone will be fine. It's really good. It probably slowed you guys down. Like, that's the problem with everyone these days. They don't slow down ever, you know?
Sure, we can go with that.
My mom says I could sell anything to a rock.
Oh, man. Anything to a rock. God.
Did you post this yet or no?
Yeah, it was on an auto post.
Okay.
At 8 o'clock.
Okay. It's my fault, guys. This light is so bright.
Oops, I just shared the wrong thing to the Facebook group.
What? The what to the Facebook group?
I just shared the wrong link to the Facebook group.
Wow, you blew it. Great.
Yep. Can you go ahead and go in?
Our whole company is ruined. The entire company's ruined. We have to shut down.
Ruined forever and ever and ever.
And forever. Literally forever.
Oh, man. Can you go ahead and start
see it now.
The music? Oh, wait. I got a surprise for you.
A surprise! I love surprises. Yes. That's so fun.
1 second. Let me go ahead and post this, and then I will give you your surprise.
I love a good surprise. Has to be good, though.
It's good. I promise it's good. You ready? Let me pull it up.
Guys, I'm nervous.
Where is it?
Hello.
Oh, wait. No, that's the background. We're good on that. Here we go.
This is Fantasy Intervention. Now here to intervene with your fantasy life, Stephie Smalls and Chase Vernon.
I'm freaking out!
Was that good?
That is so good. I'm so excited. I was screaming. I was literally screaming. I'm pumped. That's so exciting. You're the best. I can't wait. That's so cool. That's fun.
I completely forgot about it up until just right now. We had it uploaded last night.
How fun. That was my name, guys. How fun.
That was her name. Absolutely. Guys, welcome on into Fantasy Intervention. We have another episode coming at you all. Of course, this is Stephie's show. So, Steph, you want to tell us what we're going to expect on this show and what the show is called?
It's the rehab report, but we're not doing a lot of rehab reporting tonight because there's not really lots of rehab. So we're probably going to talk more about the Super Bowl and just do an overview. I was trying to pull up. The one thing that I didn't get a peep at is I just wanted to see how Mr. Antonio Brown is doing. Because otherwise, these teams are pretty healthy. I mean, aside from Mahomes, which they'll probably be – he's had plenty of time. I think that – is it possible his mobility is a little limited? Sure. But I think for the most part, these teams are really healthy.
Oh, the offensive line is a big issue, right? Because we also had, I believe their center ended up contracting COVID and then their tackle.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep an eye on, obviously. I mean, this front seven sacked, Aaron Rodgers 5 times last week? Yes. So, I mean, they've been able to get pressure on the quarterback constantly. It gets me a little bit worried. Have you heard anything about the case with, the close contact scenario with the haircut and all that other stuff?
What's crazy is I actually didn't see that because I've been so ass deep in everything that I was doing today that I didn't even see the COVID situation. Usually Chase will just show me up like this and then I don't know what's going on. It's on Tampa, you said?
No, it's I think the center of the guard for the Chiefs. We both, by the way, this is a disclaimer. We have both been slam-packed busy developing this fantasy intervention website. Like it's been nuts, and we are literally, like she said, up to our ass, which I thought it was.
I don't know what that means. I think it's like up to your shoulder. It should be more. So I don't know why I said ass. Like it's kind of stupid, actually. It's that's maybe one of my worst phrases. I don't know why I'm so jittery on here.
Oh, by the way, everybody's gonna think that I was the one that was saying I need mascara.
Oh, it's okay. Sorry, guys, that was me. But Chase does wear mascara. Not the same kind as me, though.
Oh, Steph, can you move your mic away from the speakers?
Sure. Wait, sorry. Speakers? I don't know. Is it too loud? Is it better? Let me turn it down.
Check 1 2. Nope.
I don't do check 1 2. I just talk.
That's all good. So sitting there and looking at it. Yeah, that's better. That's perfect. Cool. Okay. Everything that I was saying was going back into your microphone, and I was just hearing it. The repeat of myself. It's all good. No worries. So,
this is juicy, huh? Who knew?
Yeah. So
everyone but me.
Sitting there and looking at it, this offensive line is completely depleted. Like it is not a healthy offensive line as a whole. And with this defensive line picking up steam as the season goes on,
yeah,
it's a little scary.
It's a little fun, actually, is what it is. It's definitely fun. That's crazy. I didn't even see that. I'm kind of pissed off that I didn't read that today. I tried to turn off notifications on like some of my apps because I feel like it's just all day long that I'm getting notifications. But that's actually insane. So that adds a twist to it that I wasn't expecting.
We have like Le'Veon Bell as well, which is kind of like a question mark. So that's another thing that we have to keep an eye on.
But does it really matter?
I think that it offers a little bit. I know you can't run on the Bucs, but if the Bucs can pretty much just rush for the entire time because the offensive line is beat up and they can drop that many people into coverage and still get pressure on Mahomes, we're talking about, potentially an issue for Patrick Mahomes, especially having, his injuries as well. So I'm sitting there looking at it as like, man, like I like the Chiefs when we were sitting there and we were looking at the matchups prior to this past week. Mm-hmm. But as this time goes on, I'm getting a little bit more nervous for the Chiefs.
I love Tampa in this now. I was such a hater. And you know what? I don't care. I contradicted myself and I don't give a shit. I think Tampa winning is so much cooler than the Chiefs winning. And I think they actually have the better shot. I think one of the advantages is that they also have a ton of vets on this team. And you can still hear yourself? No? Yes?
Yep. Yeah.
Shit. Maybe it's because you have headphones in and I don't. Because this is my new computer.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this is your first time on this new computer. That's why.
Yeah. So that I literally can't move it any farther. I have to put it on the ground. I can take it out. Should I just not use the mic? Maybe I need a different mic with this computer.
No, that's all good.
Okay, fine.
I got my headphones like off my ears right now, so I can still hear you okay without hearing myself. We're good.
This is a nightmare.
What a great start to Super Bowl week.
We ruined the entire episode.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, sitting there and looking at it, like we talked about, Shaq Barrett, Jordan Reigns talked about Shaq Barrett and JPP going to eat him alive, getting a bunch of pressure. And that's a Chiefs fan that's sitting there saying that. So, I hate doubting Patrick Mahomes because no matter what happens, he always ends up coming through, or in most cases, he ends up coming through. But I feel like it's like Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes, and then on the defensive side.
Hardman, like I would say, is like such an ad to have, like.
Yeah, it's just interesting as to where, we can actually see the Chiefs winning. Now, the good news is that Tampa Bay has been giving up some big-time plays, and they struggled against speed, and the Chiefs dominated them early in the season. I mean, we sit there and we look at Tyreek Hill and what he did to, Carlson last time, and it was absolutely just, embarrassing. And I feel like they can end up using Tyreek Hill as kind of like a decoy, and you just brought up Mecole Hardman.
I almost opened another one. I have one open. That was ridiculous. Okay, no, I agree. But the thing is, too, you have to, the players that they have right now are playing so well. I don't think that the Buccaneers, it's so crazy because I feel like they pulled it together way later in the season than everyone expected. It kind of took a while for everyone to get used to each other. But I think that everyone is playing so on point. And one thing that's not about Tampa is Steve Spagnuolo. I always pronounce it wrong.
Spagnuolo?
Yeah, whatever. He was the defensive coordinator when the Giants beat Brady. He's someone that knows how to beat Brady.
Ooh,
so,
that's interesting.
Isn't that fun? Yeah, I know.
That's a good tie-in. I didn't see that tie-in.
The 2007 one too, which is like the legit one. You know?
That was so long ago.
We won the Super Bowl both years. But when I think of like the Super Bowl that I want to watch over and over again, it's 2007.
My front door just flung open, so I gotta go shut that real quick.
That's great. I'll talk about Steve.
God, this is a great episode.
If anyone, this is not going well. This is actually as awful as a fucking Tuesday could go. It's snowing here. I don't know if it's snowing for anyone else, but I just use my Wrangler to just back out of the driveway, which isn't shoveled, to get claws for tonight. But yeah, I think that if they're with Steve, he can run a good defense. I actually am surprised that the Giants are really bad at deciding what coaches should stay and go. I actually think it might be like, it's actually toxic is what it is. Because they hired him again in like 2015 and 2017. Like, why didn't you just keep him? I don't know what you guys are doing. But yeah, I think that's one thing. I think obviously they have the Chiefs have an advantage of maybe going last year, but Tampa's good. This is the first time a team that's in the Super Bowl is going to play at their home stadium. That's
pretty cool.
Badass. Like, and for it to be Brady with all these guys, JPP, Gronk, like, come on. How do you beat that story a little bit? I feel like
the story.
Yes.
You're just here for the TMZ, I feel like. Come on.
No, I'm not. I'm not here for the TMZ. I think that I really do think Tampa Bay has come a long way since the beginning, because to be able to adjust to each other so fast is crazy. I feel like it did take a while for them to kind of get used to it, but I mean, their defense is hot.
I think it has, I think there's a lot bigger piece at play right here, because we do have Antoine Winfield, the rookie over there, who he got hurt prior to, the conference championships. So he has still not practiced. I mean, sitting there and looking at it, I feel like he's going to play a major piece in the safety role, and at least, seeing if he can, contain that explosive offense. Have you seen anything on Antoine Winfield?
No. So here's my thing with this is they're obviously not going to have him play. Can someone tell me that's watching this if I'm delayed right now? Because I'm going to hop back on or something.
No, you're fine.
Okay. Because to my computer, I look like I look like the robot talking is what's going on. But yeah, so I think with him, it was shocking. He's the one that last game he was supposed to play. He's like warming up, and then all of a sudden they decide that he's not playing, which I told you guys last week. That's something that I can name on one hand the amount of times I can kind of remember that happening. And for it to be that dynamic of a player too, it was a little bit shocking. This is one that I am a little bit worried about. I'm not going to lie. We've talked about it all season. These sketchy injuries that no one's really talking about. And then weird stuff happens where they're deciding he can't play last minute. So this is one to definitely keep an eye on, but you have to remember too, they're not going to play anyone that's kind of injured.
Or, help or get them in practices and whatnot, especially in the first week when you have 2 weeks to go. And they don't start practices up until Wednesday again, or at least the injury report practices.
Right, exactly. And then it looks like Arians was saying that their linebacker is going to be back. So that's good. Levante David.
Yeah, but then you have Willie Gay, who's actually going to miss this game because of meniscus surgery. So that's another big hit to this defense. Now, I know Willie Gay didn't play as big of a role.
Why does Chase know more about the injuries tonight than me? Because I've been ass deep in WordPress, and I got nothing fucking done. Wow, that's crazy. Okay. I hope that if Antonio Brown doesn't play, I think that's bad news bears a little bit, because that was Tom Brady's guy towards the end there. And I think that I don't love him not playing.
So, I mean, when it comes to all these players, you think Antonio Brown is probably, the most impactful when it comes to it? Or are you leaning more towards Whitehead? Are you leaning more towards Winfield?
Kind of more Winfield. I mean,
Le'Veon Bell.
What did you say?
Le'Veon Bell.
I definitely don't really give a shit if Le'Veon Bell plays or not. I want him to play because I think it's so badass that he was he just said bye Jets and then went to the Chiefs is so cool. Like, good for that guy. That's sick. That's like the ultimate F you, I'm out of here. Can you imagine going from like essentially one of the worst teams in the league to the Chiefs and now you're in the Super Bowl? That's wild to me. But I mean, for him, he never was a super dynamic player this season, you know? I mean, he had a couple of games where he was useful, but is he going to make the difference in the Super Bowl? Definitely not. The Super Bowl is also a different animal. It's not the same as your normal season games. Players play different. It's like it's not the same as when you're watching a normal. I mean, you can interrupt me if you disagree, but it's just not the same as the normal season. Anything can happen.
And teams try and script stuff. So, for example, last year, you know, in my opinion, at least, Damian Williams should have won the MVP. I mean, he dominated the entire game, had 2 touchdowns. I don't even remember how many yards at this point. Dominated the whole game. They gave it to Patrick Mahomes because he was the face of the franchise. That's who they wanted to give it to. But to be honest with you, it was Damian Williams that dominated, and Damian Williams was pretty much nothing leading up to this. You know, he had a couple spots here and there where he succeeded, but honestly, like, sitting there looking at it, like, this could be a game where we could see a Clyde Edwards-Helaire win MVP or something just radical happen. Mecole Hardman.
Guys, please don't forget that Nick Foles won MVP of a Super Bowl very recently. Like, anything can happen. But I feel like, I mean, if Antonio Brown doesn't play, it's not like I kind of expect my 3 bigger names for them on the offense, is Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Gronk. I think Gronk should have a very good game. He does tend to play well. I think one of the things, too, is Brady is very well known for having these second half comebacks. So the Chiefs, I always talk about this game, the people that actually watch, is like the second time that the Chiefs played the Raiders. Okay. This is why I think of the Chiefs as a beatable team, is that game. Because had they just pushed a little bit harder in the second half, they would have won easily. So if Tampa can tire them out and then they get to the half, I think it's going to be competitive, though. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the score is 35-32.
I love how you said tire them out when Tampa is obviously like the older veterans, you know, like they're like the old dudes over there. And you're like, Tampa can tire out the young guys.
Yeah, but they know. I don't know. I think that I still think that is an advantage. I still think that having these guys that have all played in these games, I know the Chiefs went last year. Like, really don't give a shit. The odds are also very much against them to win this Super Bowl. When's the last time that someone won back-to-back? 05? I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like it's kind of flipping a coin to an extent when it comes to that stat. You know, it's just not often that it happens. But when you have a dynasty team like this, it's very possible. Now, you know, Jordan brings up the point of these are both passing teams. But guess what? Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who I don't like. I don't like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I've been hating on him since literally
I don't know why. You're such a hater.
I am a hater. But he could win MVP because of the fact that he does catch passes. And Tampa Bay actually gives up a significant amount of receptions to the running back position as a whole. I don't have the numbers right in front of me right now.
The Chiefs also have a very good pass defense. So they have that advantage, I feel like, a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, sitting here trying to get it up in time. I'm not going to get it up in time. I'm trying.
Why? There's no rush. This is the postseason, guys. If you guys can't deal with us being a little off, nothing. I'm not going to.
We're just busy. So, the Buccaneers have been targeted, or teams against the Buccaneers have targeted the running back 10 times since Week 14. 10 times, 10 times, 7 times, 9 times, 6 times, 8 times, and 11 times. That's averaged out to be right around 7 or so targets per 6. Yeah, about 7 targets or so to the running back position. If Clyde Edwards-Helaire not targets, receptions. If Clyde Edwards-Helaire sees 7 receptions, you know, we're talking about possibly 60 yards in the air and a couple touchdowns. It could very, very well happen to where they're actually getting the running backs involved in this game.
Yeah, I believe that for sure. That's fine. And then if he has a good game, I'm gonna sell him so high and then be done with him. But really, I think that's a good call. I think that it's just gonna be interesting. I mean, what did they open at the line? It was 3.5. The Chiefs are favored. It's already back to 3. So.
Yep.
Yeah. right?
I know.
Right?
I know it opened up at 3.5. I don't have the line in front of me right now.
Yeah. So I think that it really is. It's one of those games they can't slip up. I mean, so the difference between Mahomes and Brady is that Brady, I think, is a little bit easier to slip up. But also you look at Tampa Bay's, you look at their defense, and I think that with Patrick Mahomes he's still not at 100%. But I think that if they have those offensive line injuries on the Chiefs, it's over, kind of. I see the Bucs winning. Not it's over like they're going to pummel them. This is going to be a close game, but the Bucs will come out, I think. There's really no hope without – you got to put pressure on Brady. That's the only way they're really winning this game.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I'm sitting here and looking at the numbers for the cornerbacks, right? And Charvarius Ward struggled. That's where Antonio Brown is going to be lining up. If not, it's Scotty Miller. If it's Scotty Miller, I'm not as,
I love him. I think he could have a huge game.
I'm not licking my chops as much as I would be with Antonio Brown. Though.
I've been licking my chops for sure.
All right, so sitting there looking at the other side, what if they use like Tyreek Hill as a decoy on one side and lined up Mecole Hardman in the slot more often and try to attack?
I said that.
I know. I've been trying to bring it back up because you brought it up the first time.
Guys, I'm being very chatty. This is like the first time I've talked all day because I'm just staring at a computer screen, so I'm letting it all out almost.
So with Sean Murphy Bunting, right? Like, he's been struggling significantly and teams are targeting him. He's allowing 0.32 fantasy points per route run. That's a significant amount, but the bigger thing is the fact that he hasn't been able to break up passes or essentially, keep teams from targeting him over and over and over again. So I really like Mecole Hardman as they use Tyreek Hill as a decoy.
I love him this week. I think he's awesome. I think he's a huge weapon that people kind of forget about almost that they have. And he should be totally, I think they'll get him involved. I think what you might see with Antonio Brown, the more I think about it, is they might be babysitting it a little bit more because they want him playing in the Super Bowl, but I don't know that he's going to they're basing it to the point where I think something actually is maybe a little bit more wrong, but he probably won't get a lot of snaps, but it'll be very planned. So when he's in the game, expect him to get targets. When he's not in the game, expect him not to get targets kind of thing. I think they'll take him in and out. I mean, they have those options, though. They have got to have an offense that has so many options.
Right now, he's listed as doubtful for the game, is what I'm looking at.
Really?
So that makes things extremely, extremely interesting. They could just be doing it as a strategic, purpose. And, if they're not practicing 5 days in a row or 4 days in a row, he could end up coming back in. But looking at,
Oh, I didn't see the doubtful makes me think he's not coming back. I actually didn't see that. Here it is. I'm pulling it up now.
So looking at Watkins.
What about Watkins? I just have to say that. Let's see. This is
I don't know. It makes things interesting. And
yeah,
then, of course,
it seems like he wasn't able to practice. Limited, sitting out Friday.
And then we have Demarcus Robinson and Daniel Kilgore. That's the biggest injury. I think for me, if they don't.
I didn't see that. I can't believe that I didn't see that today. But
it actually happened at 3.
You guys, everyone knows that they literally can't play, right? Like, there's no way that they play.
No. They tested. They didn't test positive.
They tested. It said, neither test tested positive. I see that now.
So they were getting their hair cut, and the barber that they were going to ended up testing positive. So it was a close contact thing, but neither one has tested positive since. So all they have to do is 5 days, and they're back in. I think that they should end up playing, but if they don't,
unless they get COVID.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If they don't, if they do. Yeah. If they do test positive, a whole different thing. But I don't see them doing it if they test negative 2 days in a row, which they have.
Wow, this list is a lot longer. It's
a big list.
Okay, sorry guys. I honestly didn't prepare that well. I thought we were literally going to just talk about the Super Bowl, and I've just been so out of it. But I'm looking at it now, and even Vita Vea has an ankle injury. This is totally unlike me to not be on top of this.
Taylor, get off of our podcast, man. You didn't
Taylor
come tonight.
This is Taylor. He's going to be on next week. Now I'm going to announce it so that he literally can't back out. We're going to talk about all of the season-ending injuries.
I threw him in the show sheet. He was announced on the thing because I thought he was actually coming on.
Well,
not on the show sheet, but on the show description.
Oh well. But let's talk about these actually, because there is a lot. And even they have JPP, like I told you guys all year. Whenever it's especially an older player, if they're hurting a little bit, they're just going to have them sit. So limited practice is not that big of a deal. I mean, he was do not practice a lot last week though. Wow.
You're not forced out, Taylor. Come on right now. You have the link.
Winfield also, he really doesn't look good. I mean, this is all do not practice. I would like to see them at least be in limited, but I mean, we're talking all of these. Whitehead, GPP, Winfield, they're all do not practice. Again, it's a Super Bowl. So
JPP's playing.
I know he's playing. That's my boy, first of all. Snead will be back, by the way. His concussion protocol will be done. That'll be over with. No one has to worry about that. Yeah. Well, yeah, but yeah. CH is he's fine. I mean, he was full practice all last week. He did one limited practice.
It's looking like Gordon Whitehead is doubtful.
Really?
Yep. Yeah, well, Antoine Winfield
do not practice. It's gonna be if they don't have one limited practice before the Super Bowl, they're not playing. There's no way. It's just not.
This is our practice for tomorrow right now. This is us practicing for tomorrow because the show is not on point.
For our Super Bowl.
Exactly.
I've been so out of it, like I forgot how to even talk about injuries. It's bad. Oh man. Who is even Evans, but he was limited practice. That linebacker David didn't practice all last week.
This is normally supposed to happen pre-show where we have.
Yeah, I know, but you guys are watching. This is my thought process. This is how I make my notes. I'm like, oh fuck, that sucks. It's like what I do the whole time. I'm like, who was limited, who wasn't limited? God damn it, that's awful. But even Fisher, he's not playing. I didn't know it was Achilles. Yeah. He didn't practice all last week. They have a lot of people not practicing. So interesting is Le'Veon Bell actually went from limited practice to do not practice, which is worse. This is like the first time I'm actually able to talk about that because sometimes you don't always see it. But that's whenever they downgrade that practice status, it's bad news. We are not excited. As much as I love Le'Veon Bell and him having his like excitement, I think that that's not a good situation. I'm very excited to see the injuries tomorrow. Maybe I'll pump out like a quick injury article right before too.
You won't. You're scared.
No, I won't. I will.
No, you're scared. You won't do it.
No, I really will.
I have you on record now. I'm going to make sure that I clip this out. 27 minutes. When I need to find my pen.
I really will. I'll do one. I'll do an update for everyone. I just don't want to record it. It has to either be live or I have to write it because I cannot record off of live for the life of me. I sat at this desk. I've tried to record this one video for 1 week and I sit at the desk and I like go to do it. I do, and I just go, all right, what's up bitches? Like can't do that in an actual video. So
in quick shots,
stumbling, I'm stuttering, and then I start laughing because I think of Billy Madison where he's like, today, Junior. You know.
Oh my God, Bob said he's going to enforce it.
All right,
he's going to enforce this happening. Make sure you guys go check us out on YouTube. It's a huge help if you all go check us out on YouTube. Please. YouTube.com/fantasyintervention. Hit subscribe, like our video. Like it goes so long. Like you guys have no idea how much that means to us if you guys go on YouTube and subscribe. It's something that's where we're trying to build, a company so that we don't have to do the stuff we did today, so that we could just literally, come on here and actually talk football. But instead, we're trying to run a company. So YouTube actually is going to play a big part in to us not having to do that. So go to youtube.com/fantasyintervention and hit subscribe, please.
I think that Sammy Watkins looks pretty good to come back.
You think? You think he's coming back? I mean, he was I think a game time decision last week, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. But his stuff doesn't look horrific. I think that he has a good chance. There should be a good chance of him playing. He's someone that I would think would be playing.
Bob, we have other things going on, okay? We have other things going on behind the scenes, okay? I understand your hate for Periscope, but we can't just give up Periscope, okay? We just gave up Facebook today. Today's the first time we didn't go live to Facebook. We got plans, man. We got plans.
That's because instead of going to Facebook, just go to YouTube and subscribe to our channel.
To our show. Oh, man.
Great.
Once I get that business page back up and running like it was before, we might go back to Facebook, from time to time, but we got to see what happens. Anyways, let's Oh yeah. So
whatever she says goes. I just like
I know.
Sometimes push the buttons a little bit.
I like it. I like getting challenged. So sitting there and looking at it.
We didn't give enough attention. I just want to say that Shaquille Barrett is going to have a great game.
Shaquille Barrett's going to wreck shop.
He's going to just take his you-know-what out and put it on the table and say, this is my Super Bowl.
Bob said, Facebook is Granny FF sweet spot.
That's
I was planning on this being our first show to actually, first show that we actually publish the next day to our podcast, but I'm not putting this one on there. There's no way. Oh,
why?
man.
What?
Because what? Onto the podcast. Because we just launched Anchor.
See. You know what's going to, the one thing though, is if the Chiefs, guys, I'm jumping back and forth and I apologize. It's just hard to keep my thoughts together. But the pass defense though, the Bucs, they have to really stop the Chiefs. It's kind of ugly, I feel like. Thoughts?
Yeah, no, that's what I was talking about earlier when I talked about the game earlier this season.
Processing a little bit more faster now.
So essentially, like what I'm looking at is Tyreek Hill. Them still keeping him in the slot, but running more full wide receiver sets to an extent with Brian Pringle on the field, and then not using a running back as much, or motioning out Clyde Edwards-Helaire to a wide receiver position, thus forcing Mecole Hardman into the slot. If that happens, they're going to bring up a safety like Daniel Sorensen to try and cover the slot position up against Mecole Hardman.
Right.
The safety from the other side, I think it's Juan Thornhill, if I'm correct. I'm having brain fart right now, but Juan Thornhill is going to be focused on.
She said fart.
I did. I actually said that kind of often.
Okay,
but it's weird. I don't like saying it. It's strange. Anyway, so Juan Thornhill is going to be focused on making sure that Tyreek Hill doesn't beat him deep. Meanwhile, one-on-one with Sorensen or something along those lines, a linebacker maybe. I mean, Mecole Hardman out of the slot position could actually beat them deep constantly. And it's something that I'm actually in DFS-wise, and I'm not doing a DFS episode this week, but DFS-wise, like I think that I'm going to be playing a lot of Mecole Hardman in hopes that Tyreek Hill, doesn't do as well.
I'm definitely playing Hardman. I think that's such a and also having someone injured on the second, if he doesn't come back, it's not looking like the cutest for them, right? I mean, it looks pretty bad actually in total. But I think having Watkins will be huge for them. So if they can slow down Mahomes, and maybe Mahomes is not as, they're maybe hiding his injury a little bit more, because the thing with turf toe is annoying as hell. Unless you've ever had it, you don't know. It's just absolutely annoying. So I think that the last game, we actually did not see Mahomes getting out. Like, he was getting out of the pocket. It's fine, but he wasn't rushing. He wasn't as mobile as he normally is. I mean, he still played great. This is not me saying he didn't play well, but he also wasn't 100% Mahomes. So if he has yet to test his mobility and Tampa can capitalize on that, that would be very good for Tampa.
Yeah, I mean, he said he hasn't been having any issues with it, of course, and he's still, he's, like you said, they could be hiding it. So it is a situation.
Eli Manning was injured the whole year of 2007, and they won the Super Bowl. I don't believe that. Everyone
always cycles back. Taylor Swift's had turf toe.
You have? Maybe? What does maybe mean?
He hasn't had turf toe.
That means you did not have it, Taylor.
I've had turf toe. It's obnoxious to tell, but
no one thinks turf toe is bad. So I'm just going to take all of my research and everything. I'm just going to go leave at this point.
I think the turf toe they're referring to is not the same turf toe that a professional NFL player would actually have issues with. Now, keep in mind, this is something as to where we are just doing a brief research. We've been so busy building the website and developing this company over this past week. We kind of let it overlap a little bit into, this week where we should be focusing on the Super Bowl. But we do have some major guests coming on the show.
Yeah.
When we talk about Jason Moore from the Fantasy Footballers. And then, of course, we have Ryan McDowell. I'm very excited about Ryan McDowell.
So Jason's at 5. Sometimes Chase forgets, so I have to look. I'm
kidding. I said 5.
It's usually me. He'll be on at 5, and then Ryan's at 8.
Yep, Ryan's at 8. And then Joe Bryant is actually on Thursday at 4:00 from Football Guys. Like it's just a sick lineup that we have coming up this week, and I'm very, very excited to dive into this. We also have the FF Face-Off coming on the show for Thursday night at 7:00 to do our game show. It's been insane. It's been just a hell of a time. So I'm very excited. But we have a serious question for the doctor.
Yes. Let me guess. It's Taylor, probably. Hi, dear.
What's the difference between turf toe and hyperextended toe?
You can argue they're similar. Turf toe is basically you're jamming your toe downwards. If you go back and watch Mahomes, you can see him do it too. So it's the fact that they're jamming it against the turf like that. It is a hyperflexation. I don't know that some people might argue it's not a hyperextended toe, but it is very similar because it's basically the definition is an excessive upward turning of the toe. So Taylor, they're basically the same thing we could say, but it's more of a sprain as turf toe.
Wait,
it's more the how you get the injury. It's hyperflexation.
Wait, Zach?
What?
Was Zach Sugar Tits all the time?
Zach is Sugar Tits.
Did he change his name, or am I just now realizing this because I've been looking at his logo the whole time?
What? He used to be Sugar Tits. He obviously is not Sugar Tits anymore, which is kind of upsetting. Remember that? Wait, I clicked today and I wanted to send it to Chase. We have to almost play it one time that we know that Sugar Tits is going to be here. I cut this and it's you and I. It's one of the Sunday mornings, and I'm like, "Where is Sugar Tits?" You're like, we're both wondering where is Sugar Tits, and right away he messages, "What's up, guys?" It's so
it was so almost like simultaneous.
It cracks me up. It was seriously laughing.
Oh man! So sitting there and looking at the possibilities, like if you could say, give it a scale of 1 to 10, how much your injury is going to affect this game?
A lot.
Because when you came on, you said there's nothing.
Serious. I think that. Sorry. Should I elaborate? Is that what we do on this show?
Yes.
No, I think that the problem is a lot of these injuries, even something like turf toe can just act up. I think his was not serious. You're looking at Antonio Brown. He has a knee injury. That's obviously starting to look a little bit more serious than they're maybe saying. So I think without him in, you take away one weapon. Is it that big of a deal? Because they're still pretty stacked on the offensive side. Not really. So maybe Antonio Brown's not a big hit. But once we start talking like linebackers and talking about Whitehead, and that's when it starts to get a little nerve-wracking. I think that should these guys not come back, I don't know what it's kind of about it. Winfield is it hurts. That one stings.
But he's questionable. The Whitehead one was doubtful.
Yeah.
But once again, they could just be playing games.
His shoulder, and we saw that that was one of the injuries I said. For some reason this year, it's the shoulders and all these. There were certain injuries that just kind of pushed, plagued the league, and the shoulders really were an issue. And
you guys, you didn't read my COVID versus lockout article because I talked about the strains and the MCLs and the ACLs.
Yeah, well, that was my whole. I wrote an article for New York Giants Rush, that was something similar like that, but it's like this whole. I mean, not having training camp was the worst thing ever.
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between being conditioned and being conditioned for football, and that's always a big conversation piece. So,
and tissue is different than there's things that are a little bit more involved.
Yes,
and it's so funny. Before this is going back now. I mean, at the beginning I probably had 250 followers when this happened, and I still can't find the kid. I've been trying to find it because I wanted to say something. So he was arguing with me that. The reason, because I tweeted that we've never seen injuries like this. I don't care. And it says it's 100% because the offseason was the way it was. People need to condition better. And it's just not, there's no debate for it. But they said to me, there's no way college doesn't do it like that. It's 100% what happened. The fact that they did not have training the way that they usually do. The body isn't meant to be a professional anything. I think people forget that. The average human is no one is supposed to be a professional athlete. So when you push your body to those limits, it needs to be ready to go against. I mean, you guys saw it. How many quarterbacks did we see play this season? 20, 30, like extra, like I'm talking about backup quarterbacks.
Yeah, I figured. I know what you're talking about.
You know what I mean?
I was letting you go.
I think it came out to 18. I think 18 backups like ended up playing or something. Because when I was looking at PFF today, I think the ranking went all the way down to 38 or something.
48. Yeah. So I mean,
whatever. Sitting
there and looking at it, like the whole thing with the 2011 lockout that happened, right? And they changed up the CBA and they wanted to lighten up practices. And we've actually we saw a huge year with that when it came to the injury rate. It was up 300% from the previous year, which 300% for injuries is a lot. Like, I mean, it's ginormous. Actually, I think it was 368%, if I remember correctly, but I wrote that back in like May, so I don't really remember. Anyways, sitting there and looking at the injury rate raising that much was tremendous. But then every year following, it was still going up from what the average was prior to 2011. Because they stopped having as full contact, practices. They stopped wearing pads earlier in the season. So essentially they weren't ever built up. And I was talking to Edwin actually about this, Edwin Porras, back on our show back in
I want to say something when you're done though. I'm gonna
June and July. And the thing was there was no ramp up period. There was no time to ramp up and to get used to those hits compared to what there was before. So going into next season, we should see a lot less injuries. We should see a lot less questionable type things and games where players miss 2 or 3 games. I mean, you're still going to have the ACL tears. You're still going to have the season ending, injuries. But when it comes to the short-term injuries where you're going to miss 3 or 4 games, you're not going to see as many of those because of the fact that we're going to have practices. We're going to have some contact. But either way, players getting bigger. They're getting faster. So more injuries are going to happen.
Yeah. And the problem is, too, there's a difference in them having practice and camp and whatever, but the strength and conditioning is so important for these muscles and these tissues and what they're expected to do as a professional athlete, that you have to get used to that and you have to build it up. It's not something that can come just from having only so many weeks. So they'll definitely be in a better place. I think we'll see injuries not be as serious. I think part of it too is we saw a lot. Some players, it just wasn't really worth bringing back. I mean, you look at it, this is a COVID season. If you're not going to the Super Bowl, is it really worth risking this player, right? So I think we saw that a lot throughout the league too. But everyone should be in a better position. I know everyone's very nervous about next season. It should not be nerve-wracking by any means. I mean, they've mastered what to do should they need to do it. Everyone has admitted that they 100% need to have a longer training camp or whatever it needs to be, but I think they'll be well prepared. They can separate into groups if they need to. There's ways to go around things, but to not strengthen and condition, especially when there's some players that they're not training unless they're at MetLife or at, you know what I mean? So they need to be in a conditioning program. Some players, they're not reliable. Not everyone is reliable. Look at how many went out and got COVID, right? You think they're reliable to do strength and conditioning on their own? No.
The right strength and conditioning. They'll still do their basic
shit. It needs to be monitored.
And they need to take hits. They need to get into football conditioning. They need to, physically match another person time after time, or else they're not going to be used to it because there's no way to simulate.
Too. That's another one. I mean, like these young guys are getting hurt, but they're not used to it. I mean, this isn't the NCAA. This is the NFL. So they need to train and be hit at an NFL level very early on. And I think they kind of missed. I think they missed the ball there.
All right, Steph, let's get out of here because we do have some things to discuss business-wise.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and get out of here.
And I have to record a quick shot with Jacob.
Nice.
Yeah, like 10 minutes. All right.
Go ahead and let everybody know where to find you.
So you guys can find me at Stephie Smalls with 3 L's. Make sure you guys hit subscribe on YouTube. It means a lot to us. Really trying to pump those numbers up a little bit. And you guys can check us out at fantasyintervention.com. Cool things.
Please go check out fantasyintervention.com. We just launched our shop. Go support the circle. Go support the circle. Listen, we appreciate you guys for coming out. Thank you all for listening. Thank you guys for letting us intervene with your fantasy football life.
We're